We are up to the Group C finals of the Masked Singer Season 12, and the Ding Dong Keep It On bell is gone, which means two of these three singers are not moving on to next week's quarterfinals. Let's talk the Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my recap and reaction video for the latest episode of The Masked Singer Season 12. We are on Peanuts Night, which they did as a Thanksgiving special. It's actually why this video is up a little bit later than usual, because I was away for a couple of days for the holiday. I don't know why they decided to put this on Thanksgiving proper instead of Wednesday night. A Thanksgiving-themed Wednesday still would have been fine, but maybe Fox had some special going on. But this was all about the Peanuts. They had some of the live-action characters from Knott's Berry Farm on loan. Nick had mentioned that, and he also threw out there that you could catch the Peanuts specials on Apple TV+. So I'm sure they paid for that advertisement. But the songs didn't really have anything to do with the Peanuts. Just sort of the Peanuts were in the air, basically. And we did go to Lucy's psychiatric booth for the post-song clues. But in any event, before we get into the specifics of this episode, I want to welcome you back to the channel. If you're one of my Dan Reviews It subscribers already, I definitely appreciate that. Love you guys returning to the channel. But if you're not, please consider subscribing. Click that notification bell. You can get the alerts for all my video drops. I don't just do Masked Singer content. We do a lot of other things on the channel, TV and movie related. But most important for the Masked content is the comments. Always love hearing from you guys in the comments. You give me direction on who is under some of these masks. And tonight, certainly, if who I think is getting sent home is the ones getting sent home, then you guys definitely moved me in that direction, because both of them are people I've never heard of. But I'm honestly not sure who everybody getting sent home is, because I've paused the show from the first unmasking. And so I don't know who will win in the final showdown. I have my guesses, though, and that's who we start with, the Strawberry Shortcake. I believe she will be moving on. I've been saying this since Group C began a few weeks ago. She is by far the best singer that Group C has to offer. But as Peanuts Night, we opened the show with a nice Thanksgiving table spread with Jenny and Ken and Nick and all of the Peanuts characters. Meanwhile, Rita and Robin are up on the stage, and they are singing You Make My Dreams by Hall & Oates. So song-wise, we start, like I said, with the Strawberry Shortcake. And she is in the Spill the Tea Lounge, which I actually thought was a clue, but it turns out they are all in the Spill the Tea Lounge. So not really a clue here, but I thought maybe, because who I think is under the mask played a school teacher, and so I thought that was a school teacher lounge, kind of clue or whatever. But they're all in the Spill the Tea Lounge. She says, Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays, and my memories include being in the parade and just being in the kitchen with my mom. We sang together constantly, and we see music notes at that point. Or really a diary of sorts with a pen on it that she was scribbling music notes in. It said, she gave me the guts to go for my dreams, even when I was scared, but she lost her own confidence to sing, and I'd give anything to hear her sing again. And we see a horse and a stagecoach at that point, and a plush cow in a tutu. And then she sings I Hope You Dance from Leanne Womack. Very great song, inspirational, and she really knocked it out of the park with the performance. I wonder if her mother has passed, and that's why she's saying I'd give anything to hear her sing again. Because she talks about the mom lost her confidence, but she doesn't indicate that she's passed, but everything that she's kind of talking about here leads me in that direction. So the post-song clue, we go to Lucy's psychiatry booth, and they called it the Thanksgiving Giving Clue, and Lucy presented us with a pair of mouse ears, and Strawberry Shortcake says, the mouse ears were instrumental to how I got my start. So now we are thinking of some Disney people. So the guesses from the panel, Kelsey Ballerini is what Robin said based on the cow in the tutu. Little on the nose, but, Robin loves a good dad joke, a good pun, so makes sense there. Haley Steinfeld was mentioned, I think by Jenny, and Selena Gomez was prompted by Ken with a bunch of boos from the audience. That's a horrible guess. It's not Selena Gomez. But look, these clues do match the person I have been saying for weeks on the Strawberry Shortcake, and that is AJ Mescala. And I'm telling you, I don't know how to pronounce the last name perfectly, but she was on the Goldberg. She was on Schooled, which is a spinoff of the Goldbergs. That's where she was a teacher. But more importantly, I think for a lot of these clues is her musical start with Allie and AJ. And she was part of that. Even though, and I talked about this last week, even though she didn't have a Disney show per se, because last week was Miley Cyrus week, so she was talking about, dating the same, the same family members as Miley, like she would date brothers with Miley, and she was on Hollywood Records. AJ and Allie were, and that is owned by Disney. So she was a part of a lot of those, Disney Channel promotions and concerts and whatnot and specials. Even though she didn't really have a show on Disney per se. But all of these clues, the mouse ears and all that, the horse and stagecoach, certainly she is a stage gal, and she's, an actor as well as a singer. I don't know much about her family life, so I don't know about the mother specifically, but, the voice giving it away again for me, I believe that with much certainty, that the Strawberry Shortcake is AJ Mescala. And I've been saying that since the beginning. I do believe that she is the one who will be advancing into the finals. But next up we have the quarterfinals anyway. Next up we have the Royal Knight, and that's the first person getting sent home. So we will do all of her clues and then go to the Take It Off. She says, I'm more thankful than ever before this year because I'm finally living my happily ever after. At the table this year, first there's my eldest, who helps cut the turkey and is so loving and kind. Then my middle child will set the table, my sensitive soulmate. And then we see a boomerang at that point, so maybe someone from down under. And she says, my miracle baby boy for his first taste of pumpkin pie. So a brand new baby to the family here. And she says, I had a lot of judging and ridicule in my life, so I teach all my children to love themselves from the start. And we also at some point see a podcast microphone next to a bottle of wine. She sings Holiday by Madonna. It's an okay rendition. Madonna, back in that era, was not known for her singing. That came, I think, later in the 80s and in the 90s. She kind of cemented what a good voice she has. But, those first couple of records, I think, more showcased her style and whatever. So Holiday is not a tough song to sing. She did fine with it. And then her Lucy clue, the Thanksgiving Given clue, best-selling author. And so she said, I act, I sing, I live my life to the fullest, and I even wrote a bestseller all about it. And so the guesses from the panel are the same here as they are during the Take It Off. So let's go right to that part of the show, and we'll go to the final guesses from the judges, my final guess, and then we will go and see who is under this mask. So the Royal Knight guesses. Rita said it could be Anna Faris, popular podcast host. She definitely has written a book, and she acts. I don't know if she sings. I don't think I've ever heard Anna Faris sing before, but maybe. Ken thought it could be Kelly Ripa. I think that's more based on some clues previous to this week, but whatever. He's wrong. Robin thought it might be Busy Phillips from Freaks and Geeks. Obviously, a lot of these clues do match up. She has a podcast. She has interviewed people. I don't know if she can sing, and I think that I previously was under the impression she was under the Phillips family from the Mamas and the Papas. I thought maybe she was like a stepsister of like Mackenzie Phillips or something. I believe, though, that that's wrong. I think she actually has no relation to the singing Phillips family, and Wilson Phillips was part of that family as well. But so I initially, when she came on the scene, I thought maybe she was part of that family, but I think she's not. So I'm not sure what her musical ability is, but certainly some of these clues match up with Busy Phillips. But Jenny said the person that I believe it is. Now, I've never heard of this person until a few weeks ago. You guys mentioned it in the comments a lot, actually, and said the Royal Knight is Jana Kramer, Jana Kramer, Jana Kramer. I really don't know who this person is. I still kind of don't. But I've looked her up over the last few weeks, and yes, she does have a podcast. And Jenny pointed out her podcast has a wine theme, so that would be for the wine bottle and the podcast microphone. And Jenny was actually on the show a few months ago, so she has actually been interviewed by this person. And I was between two for this. Royal Knight, was either between Ashley Tisdale for me or Jana Kramer. But I think this week definitely solidifies the Jana Kramer clues. And I was leaning that direction anyway. That's why I guessed last week, because of the country thing that she said about Miley Cyrus. I'd be more comfortable in Nashville, just like Miley would, or something like that. And Ashley Tisdale doesn't really have a country flair. I connected some of the clues to Ashley, but overall, no. I think this is Jana Kramer. I think you guys are right. And she has written 2 books. In my research of her the last couple of weeks, I did see that she is an author. I don't know if Ashley Tisdale is. So let's go to the Take It Off, see if this is indeed Jana Kramer. That is who my final guess is. Not my initial guess, not my first impression, but is it? It is. It says actor and musician Jana Kramer. Yeah, she got her start on One Tree Hill, which is a show I did not watch. But I guess she's moved now a little bit more into the self-help space and the podcast space and stuff like that. But yeah, the fact that Jenny was on her podcast, I think, is a bit of a leg up for her. They're talking about how Jenny got another one right. Oh, yeah. Friday Night Lights, the Scott Porter connection. I had talked about that last week.
What made you do the Masked Singer? My daughter loves the show. So, I love watching.
A lot of people do this show for their family members, for their kids or grandkids.
When I found out that I was going to be the knight, because my husband always calls me his little warrior. And so
all right, so that's nice. Her husband calls her the little warrior, so that's very cute. So she was the knight. Okay. And, all right, well, now we have the Sherlock Hound, but I'm going to pause here and watch the showdown, because I think Sherlock Hound is going home. So there's no sense in talking about their initial guesses, if they may give us end guesses as well. So we'll see. My money is on the Strawberry Shortcake to move forward. Well, indeed, the Strawberry Shortcake is moving on to the quarterfinals. So that means we will have, from Group A, we have the Buffalo, which I think is Boys to Men. From Group B, we've got 2 people. We've got Wasp, which I think is Mario. And we've got the Dust Bunny. Dust Bunny left. The Goo, which I believe is Kobe Turner. Another one that I had really not heard of until this season. And then joining them will be Strawberry Shortcake. So that will be next week for the quarterfinals. But let's go back to this week's episode for the Sherlock Hound. He sang third, and so we have not gone over his clues yet, but he is going home. He said he's super, super grateful for new beginnings, keeping with the Thanksgiving theme. He said, starting with my career, I've had many new beginnings. My startup had an expiration date. We see a sign at that point that says on strike. Things were always destined to dry up. So I learned some new tricks, and we see an ace card with a globe on it. Then my personal life, always on the move, not looking for forever, but I found a forever home with a rare breed. We see red pearls stringing down from the photo of his rare breed. And now home is wherever she is. And he sings the song Ho Hey by the Lumineers. And his Lucy Thanksgiving giving clue says it was an oven mitt that said pitch perfect, which obviously could mean, Pitch Perfect, the movie. This person has perfect pitch as a singer, but of course it could also mean a baseball pitcher, and I think that's the direction we've been going these last few weeks. And he says, I've had a lot of fun perfecting the pitch of my voice over the years. So Robin was finally onto it. And said Bronson Arroyo. He was putting together all the clues from Barry Zito being the masked ambassador to some of the other things we've seen over the weeks. And he mentions that not only was he on the Boston Red Sox, but he was on the Cincinnati Reds. and he is a pitcher. So his guess was Bronson Arroyo. Ken didn't mention anything after the initial performance, but during the final guesses, Ken agreed and said, yes, this seems definitely like Bronson Arroyo. And usually on the sports clues, Ken is on top of it. Jenny went with a clue she said, or with a guess she said earlier in the episode, Scott Stapp from Creed. It's funny because this guy does have a really good sort of more bassy singing voice, and we've had some people mention some other sort of singers in that zone over the last few weeks, including Darius Rucker, Chad Kroeger, and Scott Stapp here. And then Rita earlier in the episode said it might be Anthony Kiedis, but she changed it to something she mentioned last week, which is Hosier. He has a song called Too Sweet, and there was a thing of Sugar Cubes. So I will say the two of them, Strawberry Shortcake and Sherlock Hound, both sang Shivers by Ed Sheeran for the Good Grief Battle Royale, they called it. I thought they actually both did fine. It was not the best song, I think, for Strawberry Shortcake, so luckily she had some momentum from the previous performances, because I would say that was not her best. I think that Sherlock Hound actually maybe did a little better than her in the Battle Royale. But I think just based on the previous weeks and the performances thus far, it makes sense that Sherlock Hound would be the one to go home. So look, my guess, and this is, again, a person I've not heard of. My initial guess, I was definitely with the baseball player because of the Barry Zito mask ambassador thing. I thought, well, this has to be some kind of baseball player, but the problem is I know very little about baseball. But there was a diamond in the first clue package, so I thought, okay, maybe somebody from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I went with Paul Goldschmidt, and I don't think it's him anymore. I think this is going to be Bronson Arroyo, and I thank you guys in the comments for leading me that way, because I have never heard of this person, wouldn't have gotten there otherwise. But let's see, is it? And I learned all about this dude, that he sang in high school and in different vocal groups. Let's see. It is the World Series champion Bronson Arroyo, who I would not have known, and I guess he won the World Series maybe with the Reds. They're showing him in a Reds uniform. But Robin got it. Robin hardly ever gets one right, by the way. I think this season it's his first, but I think generally he maybe gets one per season right. I think he has the worst track record, Robin does. Jenny gets probably the most, and Ken, surprisingly, second. And then Nicole/Rita. Yeah, Bronson did a great job. And for a baseball player, the guy can sing. That's for sure. Oh, and he actually was wearing Red Sox in the costume. That's funny. Oh, yeah, he talked about the curse last week, which can only be either really the Cubs or the Red Sox. So I went with Red Sox for that. All right, so there you go, Bronson Arroyo. Look, I'm actually doing pretty well. I'm 9 for 11 this season. I've only missed 2, and not all of them have been first impression guesses, but some of them have. And I think of who we have left. I have at least a couple. I think Mario Boyz II Men and AJ Michalka are all first impression guesses for me. So that's pretty good if that is indeed who is under the mask. So next week we will have the quarterfinals. And then I guess there's maybe only 1 week after that. So yeah, we're winding down season 12 for The Masked Singer. But join me next week and check out my other videos in the meantime. I've got a lot of other movie and TV stuff up on the channel here to peruse. But thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.